start with some defensive line talk. First of all, Jay Hill, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother.
Because the defensive line, I think there's LSU's putting a lot of positive information out, positive statistics out, and they're all objectively correct. The question is, how good is LSU's defensive front? When I look at a graphic that tells me that LSU's defensive line is leading the nation in tackles for loss with 40, that LSU's leading the nation in sacks with 17, and that they have the most TFL yardage and the most sack yardage in the country, that's a good thing. Like, I would rather them do that than not do it. But it's also the same group that allowed Zach Charbonnet to run for 10 yards a carry and allowed Britton Round to run for almost 100 yards and got pushed around in the second half. So as this line continues to kind of morph and change into what it will be, injuries, people coming in, coming out, moving positions, I guess I'll leave it open-ended to you. What is LSU's defensive line right now?
Yeah, I think they're a talented group. You see why they were so heralded going into the season. We felt like last year was a blip on the radar because of how much talent was in that room and how much veteran leadership, young and old, in that defensive line room. And Andre Anthony's just such a huge blow to lose to that room. Just a veteran leader coming off the edge, probably was going to lead this team in sacks. But you keep going down the list with Jaquelin Roy and Neil Farrell and Mason Smith and P.J. Ojolari and Ali Gay. You can just go on and on. You can see why the production is what it is as far as tackles for losses and sacks. So I think there's still so much talent in that room. We just need to find a way to finish 4 quarters of football game. I think that UCLA game, there was some great plays in that game. I think we still had 4 sacks that game, but got to finish the fourth quarter. And I think you get this group finishing the fourth quarter, the D-line can definitely pack a punch this year for sure.
I don't care about the 8 sacks against McNeese. I do care that they absolutely stonewalled Central Michigan in the run game on Saturday. I do think there is some positive to be taken from that. Do I think it means a ton against Auburn and against A&M, against Florida, who ran it down Alabama's throat, and Alabama? Not yet. I'm not there yet. So, I do think there is reason to believe this can be a quality defensive front. I just am not. I'm not cashing all my chips in just yet. Like, I still need to see them show up against some of the more physical teams in the league and stop them. Look at what Arkansas did to Texas on the ground. Just ran it right over them. Florida in the second half against Alabama absolutely ran it right over them. We know what kind of Tank Bigsby goes over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against Penn State. We know Jimbo Fisher wants to run the ball. They've got a couple running backs and Spiller and A-Chain that are doing some work over there. There's a lot of guys in this league you got to stop running the football, and that image from UCLA just running it right down our throats is still burned in my brain, and I'm not going to get rid of that until you do it against an SEC team. Central Michigan, good that you did that, not proving anything, and then this week I don't know that you're going to prove much of anything against a Mississippi State team that's going to throw it 65 times if they need to.
Yeah, I would have felt a lot better if UCLA just went and blew out Fresno State, and they're probably ranked number 10 in the country right now, but that's not the case.
Or not.
Yeah, that's not the case at all. So I agree with you there. I think we have so much more to prove, but we're taking steps in the right direction. I think the defense made that leap going into the McNeese game, the leap that the offense didn't make, and they just seemed like they played as a unit. They played well, and then they kind of carried that over into last week again the Central Michigan game. So we're taking the right progression. You see guys are stepping up. Guys are getting in roles that they weren't normally in, like Mason Smith playing defensive end and Mike Jones playing middle linebacker, things of that nature. We get all those guys just practicing week in and week out and getting game reps. It's only going to help this defense, out so much more to just play together. So I think they got the talent, so let's just see if they can go out there in this SEC schedule and put it together.
They had the talent, and I think one of the stats that's on that graphic that LSU has put out is that LSU's got the 4th lowest blitz rate in the country. They're comfortable with bringing 4 guys, and that's a good thing. We talk about a numbers game all the time, and how do you win with numbers? And if you only have to bring 4 to stop the run, your linebackers can come right there behind them and play the way that they're supposed to play. It's a really good thing. So yeah, it's good that you're leading the nation in sacks and you're blitzing fewer times than all but 3 teams in the country. That means you are doing things well. And I think Ali Gay, when he comes back, we've seen him do it. I think Jaquelin Roy at the end of last year and then the couple of plays he's made this year has proven, that's a guy who can be a handful. Ojolari has made plays in the backfield for a year and a half now. Farrell and Evans, Farrell more so has got a lot of snaps under his belt and holding the point of attack and shedding blocks and being where he's supposed to be. So again, this is not the hottest take you've ever heard because it's right in the middle. I'm not saying this LSU defensive front is going to carry this team because they're leading the nation in sacks. It's like there was a lot made about LSU's baseball team last year after about 4 weeks because they were hitting a ton of home runs. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, Gorilla Ball's back. Like, this is amazing. We're hitting home runs. And I'm like, well, again, I would rather you hit home runs than not. But doing it in the midweek against in-state teams and against some of these non-conference teams we're bringing in that are throwing 87 miles an hour, that didn't prove to me much that you're going to handle Arkansas's staff. Like, I need to see it against some real teams. So, again, if LSU couldn't stop McNeese or Central Michigan running the ball, I'd know you were in trouble. They did, but I'm still not buying this whole thing about this defensive front being just an absolute steel curtain until you do it against somebody that runs it a little bit better than the teams we've seen.
Yeah, I don't think the D-line was really ever the issue going into the season. Even in that UCLA game, I think, in the first half and even some of the third quarter, I think they played well. They got tired in the fourth quarter and got pushed around a bit. But I think the D-line has played, better than you expected. They played well, actually. You look at the sacks, the tackles for losses. I think the linebacker play was an issue and the safety play was an issue. But those also got better as well. This defense is slowly, getting to understand Durante Jones' defensive system. Guys are starting to play faster. You see the cornerbacks making plays, Derek Stingley blowing up plays. That's what you need in run support when plays get bounced to the outside. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I'm not going to pump any more sunshine and rainbows just yet, but I like what I'm seeing. They're progressing. Let's just see how they continue to do that.
I loved what O said this morning with the morning guys, said that Glenn Logan was just about ready. He was running, which I think is huge. Obviously broke his foot, had a little reconstructive surgery, as somebody termed it to me. Just had his foot cleaned up a little bit. I was like, well, when I hear cleaning up a foot, I hear like, let's wash the thing, maybe get it, not go into the knife. But he's getting close, and that's a bona fide guy in the middle of your lineup. He was a starter on a national championship team that was excellent up front. He's huge and physical, and gives you another body on the inside where you feel like you're okay with Farrell and you love what Roy's giving you and you're okay with Evans, and then you bring Logan in there. That makes it a little bit easier to kick Mason Smith out to the outside where they think he can be a force. He's got the frame for it to play on the outside. It looks more like a 3-4 when he plays there than it does a 4-3, but he's got the ability to do it. You've got some serious size up there with those guys.
Yeah, getting Glenn Logan back is going to be huge for this defensive line. That's why they were so heralded going into the season. You got a guy like Glenn Logan, just that's going to be the starter. You lose him to start the season, and having him in that UCLA game would have been huge to stop that run in the fourth quarter. So getting him back is going to help this defense out a ton. And like you said as well, it'll allow Mason Smith to get more reps at defensive end, a position that he probably hasn't played much of since high school. It's going to be an adjustment for him, but if there's anyone to do it, I pick him. That kid's a stud. He's big, he's tall, he's athletic, and those are the type of guys you want coming off the edge and wreaking havoc. So I got faith in this defensive line. They've been playing well. They've been getting better week by week, and this is going to be the biggest test thus far for them yet.